Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Alexandra, and I'm so glad that you chose to join me today in the Silhouette Studio. A little bit about me is I am relatively new to Silhouette. I would say I've only been doing it since January is when I got my Silhouette, but I love crafting. I am a teacher by occupation, and I teach family and consumer sciences classes. So I teach child development, fashion design, and then this year I'm teaching some finance, and I really like crafting in my free time. Today we are going to be making this banner. It's called the Chill Out banner. I'm going to scan over it for you. Super cute. This design is by Karina Gardner. If you have not checked out her designs in the design store, you should, because she always makes the best products that turn out really fun, and they're a lot of fun to make. And she has been so kind as to let us offer this design for free on our design store this week. So as we're going through class, I recommend that you download the design right now because it's only free this week. I don't want you to forget to download it. So download the design right now, and then you'll have it when you go back and make the design if you're not going to be doing it in class with us today. I think that's kind of our little intro, so we can get started with our project. Just as a precursor, I do have all the pieces cut over here already because this craft is a lot of repetition. Pretty much every single piece is the same. You just do it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. And so instead of making you watch me do everything 9 times, whatever we have pre-cut, we'll do some so you can see how to make it. And then once we are running a little short on time, we'll assemble it all together. But this class is perfect for you if you love a quick craft that can be done in an hour or two. If you're super advanced with Silhouette, perfect class for you. If you're not super advanced for Silhouette and you still have a project that can be done in an hour or two, this is also the perfect class for you. So there's room for everyone today. Let's see. I think we should start out by going and downloading the design in the design store. So let me share my screen with you. Maybe some of you already have the design downloaded, but if you don't and you're new to Silhouette, I'm going to show you how to do that. So I have opened up the Silhouette Studio on my computer. And this is what it looks like when you pull it up. This is kind of our design space in the Silhouette. And we are going to go up to this right-hand corner and click on Store. It's going to link us to the Silhouette Design Store. You can also type in the URL on your computer to get to the design store as well. Like I said, this design is free this week. So to find it, I'm just going to click on free at the top. And it's actually our first one that comes up right here, this Chill Out banner. Mine, I already have purchased, obviously, because I made it for this class. But yours will have a little shopping cart. And if you click on it, it adds it to your cart over in the top right-hand corner. If you are not going to download the design right now, I want you to make sure and write down this design ID right down here. If you type this number into the design store later, you will be able to find the design later on. So the design ID for this specific project is 351691. I'll repeat that in case you need it again. 351691 is the design ID. Like I said, if you need to find it later, you can type in that design ID. You can also type in the name on the search bar. Chill Out banner is what this project is called. So once you have purchased it, it will be in your cart, and then you can follow through with the purchasing. I have the cute free design of the week in my cart right now. I need to make that. It's really cute. But the nice thing about Silhouette Studio is once I follow through with my purchase, I can do it on this one for you guys. It has my password saved because I do a lot of purchases on my Silhouette store. So it says, thanks for your order. This file has been added to your library. The thing that I love about this is I don't have to drag that file anywhere to try to get it into my library. It is already in my library. If you're not seeing it, you can click on, well, it's telling me right now it's syncing. So it's grabbing any designs that I've downloaded and purchased since the last time I opened my Silhouette Studio. And so it's syncing right now. And then once it's finished with that, you should be able to find the design in all of your downloads, or your library is what we call it. As you can see, I have a lot of designs in my library. I'm sure some of you that have been doing Silhouette much longer than me have a lot more designs than this in your library. This is where the design ID can come in handy again. You can search the design ID up in the corner, or you can type the name. Chill Out Banner right there. Makes it so I don't have to scroll.
I have a question.
Okay.
Is there a way to force your library to sync?
Yes. So the question that was asked, because I know McKenna, our moderator, does not have a microphone on. The question was, is there a way to force your library to sync? I know this happens with my computer sometimes, where I'll pull up my Silhouette Studio and it doesn't automatically start syncing. And this is the button that you're going to push right down here in the bottom left corner. It's a circle with 2 arrows, like it's spinning. So if you click on that, it initiates the syncing process. And you can see that your library is all caught up. Alrighty, we have found our Chill Out banner in our library. So I'm going to click on this. This is what it looks like once I've clicked on the design. So it's dragged it over into my design area. Let's see. For the banner that I made as the example, I made the design bigger. I wanted it to be more of a statement. And so I made the design bigger. The one we're going to be making in class today is just this size. If you would like to make your design bigger, you can click with your mouse and drag over everything. And then just drag one or grab one of these corner pieces. Let's see, it didn't pick it up. Grab one of these white squares, and then you can drag it to make it as big as you would like. Then you can test it on the paper to kind of see how big it is. And then if it's not the size you want, you can press undo by pressing Command Z, and it just moves everything back the size it was. There we go. So like I said, for today's class, I'm going to be making it the size that it comes in. So I'm just going to select all of that and drag it out of my workspace. This white area is showing the cutting mat. Kind of looks like the Silhouette cutting mat with the arrow, and that white backdrop kind of just looks like as if you would have a white piece of paper on your cutting mat. Alrighty, today we are using 8.5 by 11 cardstock since I'm doing it in the smaller size. So we are just going to change our settings a little bit. Personally, I still enjoy using the Cameo 12 by 12 mat just because it's the most versatile mat if you don't own a lot of mats. So we're going to keep it on the Cameo 12 by 12 inch mat. And then for media size, that's where it's going to be a little bit different. We're just going to select letter, which is 8.5 by 11 size of paper. So you can see it shrunk our workspace. That's representing the paper that we're going to put on the mat in the first place. And then we can start dragging our pieces actually. So right now, my Popsicle is all one piece. We have the pink, we have the white, and we have the brown. I don't necessarily want it just to cut out the basic Popsicle shape because I want to keep that brown and I want to keep that piece white. So I need to ungroup my design is what we call it. We ungroup something by holding down Command, Shift, and G on our keyboard. Oh, you have to make sure it's selected. Command Shift and G. You can see it brings up a little box around everything that it disconnected from the design. So now I can drag that white piece off and just leave it at the top. And I can drag my popsicle stick off and leave it at the top. I can drag this down. You know what? I am going to do one thing before that. Something that I always like to do before I start my design is I like to be able to envision it at the end with the colors that I have picked out. So today I have a light pink, I have a blue, and I have a light blue. And so I'm going to go through and change the colors on these just so I can keep track of what I'm cutting in what. So if we start that one pink, I'm using this color palette panel. The fill panel is what it's called over on the side. Looks like a palette to change the color. So we have pink, and then maybe we'll do our darker blue and our lighter blue. These colors don't necessarily match what I have, but as long as it's giving me a reminder of which should be which, that's the main point of doing this. So pink, blue, light blue, pink, blue, light blue, pink, blue, light blue. Perfect. You can go ahead and change the fans as well if you want, just to keep track of what you need in each color. This is not a necessary step though. If you can do it in your head, go for it. I am definitely a visual learner though. Oh, I see the problem. Okay. All right, now we can move on. So I'm going to cut this light blue color first. And I see that I'm going to have 3 of those. So as you can see, I can't fit 3 on my page. It's going to cut one off. Since I already have some of my pieces cut, I'm only going to worry about cutting 2 right now. Once you have your design how you want it, I'm going to see if I can squeeze this on. I don't think it'll fit. Nope, we will cut it after, no worries. So this is going to be what I'm cutting right now. Once I have everything the way I want it, I'm going to click on the send panel at the top of the page. And this is where we send the design to actually get cut. The send panel has a couple different things that you need to be aware of. So first off, anything that has this thick red line around the design is what's going to be cut. So I want this popsicle shape cut exactly like this with the 2 holes at the top so I can string it together. So that's good. I don't have to change anything with that. Today I'm going to be cutting with cardstock. It's already selected on cardstock plain. Make sure you do the drop down menu. If you're cutting with glitter cardstock, for example, in my classroom, I was redecorating a lot of stuff this week, redoing bulletin boards, and I used glitter cardstock for a lot of stuff. And so it's a lot thicker and heavier. So I had to make sure the glitter cardstock was selected so it would cut properly. But we are using plain cardstock today. If you're using a medium that you like vinyl, heat transfer, you can use this menu and search heat transfer, and then you can select which one you're using. But we are using cardstock today. We do have a bit of a problem. You can see it says it has a little picture of a Cameo down here, a silhouette machine, and it says unavailable. That's because we have not connected to our machine yet. There's another little picture of a machine down below. This one says 10 right now because I'm in the silhouette offices, so there's a lot of machines around me. But we just need to find the one that's available, which is this one right here. click on it. And now it says ready to load. Oh, McKenna, I don't have a blade in my machine. Let's hurry and get one of those. We thought we tried everything. We did all the update before class started, but you know, some things just always go wrong, right? We definitely need a blade in our machine. All right, while McKenna is grabbing that, we will just make sure all of our settings are correct. So as you can see right now, it's telling me on my studio, no tool detected. And that's because we don't have a blade, which this is a really great time to show you how to install a blade. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Perfect. So to install the blade, this is just a basic silhouette blade, not one of the fancy ones. And you're going to just insert it into cartridge 1 is where you want to insert your blade. You're gonna push down and then push forward until you hear that click. Then it will kind of bounce back up, but that blade is in my machine now, no problems. And I can actually see in my Silhouette Studio that my blade is detected now. So it is ready to cut. Couple things before I actually send it to cut. Blade depth is based upon this medium that you selected. I personally like to always bump it up 1 or 2 numbers. That's not going to make it tear while it's cutting. And it will for sure make it cut. Sometimes I have an issue where if I use the settings in Silhouette Studio, it doesn't cut all the way through my medium. So I personally like to always bump it up 1 or 2, and that's not going to ruin your medium or tear anything. Let's see, we have our medium selected, we have our blade, we have the blade depth. So I think we are ready to send it to cut. When you do send it to cut, you're just going to push send right here. But I do need to get my paper ready before I actually send it to cut. So I'm going to grab my light blue paper. You always want your paper in the top left corner, aligned with the top left corner, because that is where your machine is going to start cutting. So this is what my paper looks like right now. As you can see, it looks exactly like it did in the Silhouette Studio, except I have blue paper instead of white paper. And I'm now going to load it into my machine. So when loading, there's this line right here on the far left side. You want to line your mat up with that and push the arrow that's going up. It's signifying that the paper is going into the machine. Perfect. And it is all ready to cut. So I'm going to go back to my computer and just push send. We will let that cut real quick. Perfect. So that's how you know your machine is done cutting. The blade will go back up into the corner. Before I take it out, I always like to make sure that it actually cut through. So you can see I've kind of lifted it right there. If it hasn't cut through all the way, you're able to send it again, and it will cut exactly those lines. If you unload it and then load it back in because it hasn't cut everything, it's going to not be in the exact same place that it cut originally. So that's a good tip, just to make sure it's what you want. All right, and then I'm just gonna lift starting from one corner. And a trick that McKenna taught me actually is to put my mat face down when working with paper, because removing it this way makes it so the paper doesn't curl as bad. And then I'm just going to lift straight up on the mat. Sometimes those sticky mats can cause our paper to curl. So this is just an easy way to stop that. All right, so I have my 2 popsicles. We need to make 2 fans for our popsicles, which is what makes this design so fun, I think. Karina, and honestly, just all over the Silhouette store, they have a lot of awesome banner type designs like this, which it's so fun. You can have different banners all throughout the year. And the thing I love about this one is it works for all summer long. You know, 4th of July, once the 4th of July comes and goes, it's not as relevant because it's not the 4th of July anymore. But this one you could put up in May when school gets out, and then you could keep it up all through June. You could put up a 4th of July banner for half of July, and then you could put this one back up until school starts, and you could have a cute school banner going up in your house. All right, we're gonna actually not load this again yet. Sorry, Brian. We have to switch our design that we're cutting since we don't need any more popsicles. All right, so I'm gonna drag these away. Once I am done with the design, I actually like to delete it just so I can know how I'm coming along with what I'm creating. So I'm gonna delete that and then drag my fan over. And since I cut 2 popsicles, I'm gonna cut 2 fans. So Silhouette Studio is relatively user-friendly, how you just drag and drop everything where you want it. So we're to this page again. We're going to send it. I'll give you a little refresh on how to load the machine if you need that. And then we just push send again on that send panel. This design is going to take a little bit longer just because there's all those dashes that need to be cut, which are our fold lines when we're making these accordion fans. Are there any questions, McKenna? Nope, everyone's doing good. So when your machine is doing a little bit longer cut, I do recommend still staying in the room. Once you get to a certain point with Silhouette, I'm sure you're okay to like run and do something in another room. But it seems like whenever I leave my room, when my Silhouette is cutting, I come back and the mat has turned or something has gone wrong and I wasn't able to catch it in the process. So I like to just sit and wait for it to be done with rather than leaving it on my own. Also, these long cuts can be tricky when you are working with a 1-year-old in the house. I have a 1-year-old, and whenever the machine is running, he wants to be right by the machine, touching the machine. I'm going to get actually think we will just wait a minute. Looks like it's getting close to done. If you do have any questions about this design while we're waiting for this to cut, please drop them in the chat and we will try to get those answered for you. One thing about this is you can So right now I'm cutting 4 at a time. Each pinwheel only requires 2. So I'm cutting enough right now for 2 popsicles worth. I see we have some questions. Sorry, McKenna, I don't know where they start exactly. Oh, just the bottom one. Yes, so the question is, what size did you make your sample, the original one? I can actually go back here. I made the sample, the popsicle was tall enough that it filled the whole 12 by 12 sheet of paper. So I just dragged the popsicle until it reached the top and the bottom of a 12 by 12 sheet of paper. And then that is how big I made it. That was a good question. And I like how it turned out. I think if it was hanging on a mantle, you would want it a little bit bigger. Just so, like I said, it was more of a statement versus this one that we're making is still a good size and you would still be able to read it from far away. But it's just your personal preference or what you're using it for and what you want. So yeah, these were made with 12 by 12 sheets of paper, and each popsicle took about 1 sheet of 12 by 12 paper once I made the fan and the popsicle. Alrighty, we are just about finished with those. They're just outlining the fan for us. Alrighty, all finished. We made it through the longest cut of class today. But if you're making this design, you get to do that cut 4 more times. Alrighty, I've unloaded it. Going to move it over here. I did not do my trick to make sure it cut, but I knew my settings were right. And so I did not need to check it before. All right, I'm going to flip the mat over and pull up. All right, and I think for the sake of today's class, just to make sure we get you guys out of here on time, that's all the cutting we're going to do for today. Everything else, you're cutting your letters, you're cutting the popsicle sticks, but it really is just going to be 1, maybe 2 sheets of paper for your popsicle sticks and then your letters. Your letters are white, at least that's how the design is, and that's how I did mine. And then that little piece of the popsicle that shines is also white. I think this would be really cute if you did the letters and that piece in glitter paper. If anyone does that, you'll need to send that to us so we can see that. Yes, but I think we can put the computer and the machine away. And now we get to do the fun part where we get to put it all together. So I'm just gonna make a good workspace for us. Guess I gotta keep that up. I like to have a lot of room to work when I'm crafting, which right now my craft desk is not very big. So I usually end up crafting at the kitchen table. All right, these fans, they were a little bit of a trick for me, I think you could say. They take a little bit of trial and error, but I'm going to show you the easiest way that I found to put them together. They look great when they're done. This is the finished product when they're done, before they're on the popsicle. And then you've seen what they look like on the popsicle. So first things first, we're just going to accordion fold this paper back and forth. Kind of like when you would make butterflies in kindergarten when you were younger, right? That is exactly what we're doing for this project. I realize now that I did get slightly ahead of myself because I need the circles cut. There aren't any circles cut. Yeah, I thought I had some circles cut, but they're on the pre-made fans that I did. So in order to show you guys how to assemble the fans, I'm going to need to cut one, which is fine. It'll be a quick cut for us. Thank you for your patience, by the way, as you watch. Yeah. I had that happen. I had a similar situation happen this week. I was making a bulletin board, like I said, for my classroom. I'm redoing it all this year and it's turning out so cute. But I was making a bulletin board. I took my cutout letters to get laminated. I laminated them all, not thinking much of it. And then I got to the school and I was missing one letter. So I had to redo it. All right, I'm gonna delete our fans. Couple things, in Karina's design, she only has one circle per fan. She must be better at assembling these than me because I definitely needed one for the front and one for the back. I'll show you this. So I have one on the front, one on the back. So for each of the fans I'm making, I'm gonna cut 2 circles. Oh, yes, thank you. It says I'm not in a meeting. I'm just gonna do this quick cut. This cut looks exactly like all of our other ones did. So my screen, I just dragged the circles on and then that's what I needed. So we're cutting 4 circles total. Perfect. We'll unload that. And now we have our 4 circles. All right, so I have one piece folded. I'm gonna fold 2. Each fan requires 2 of these accordion folds. So this banner is a little bit more time intensive than others, just because you have these cute accordion fans that you're making, but it's a really fun 3D element to add to your banner. If you don't want to bother with the fans, you could just not do them, but I think it adds a fun element. Alrighty, we have our 2 accordions right here. This is where it gets a little tricky. And I will admit that I burned myself with my hot glue a couple times while making these, but a little hot glue burn never truly hurt anyone, right? Okay, I'm gonna test it out over here just to see how fast this oozes out. Okay, so I'm just gonna take one end of it and glue it together. So now you can see, if we're looking at it from the top, it just looks like one big long piece. Once that is dry, I think it's dry enough for us now. Like I said, watch your fingers. Once that's dry, we're going to connect the other piece, the other side together. So a little bit more hot glue. And connect that piece together. I really want to make sure these have a good hold together. So I'm actually going to leave this one while I fold my other one, just to make sure our glue has enough time to dry and set. So I'm just going to put it up on its side right there. With Karina's design, The middle popsicle that kind of spaced out the words, she did not put a fan on it. And so when you're making your design, you'll see that this one that I have in orange right here, it doesn't have a design on, or it doesn't have a fan for it. But if you would like to add one, you can just cut an extra fan and have that 3D element. I would think I was faster at folding these, but they're a little bit tedious. This is a good craft you could have your kids help you with, right? Just fold the fans back and forth and back and forth, but you can do the hot glue. Alrighty, we'll glue this one together and then we'll actually fan out the other one now that that glue is set. So like I said, make one big long piece, then we're going to connect it into one circle. My concentration definitely is due to the fact that I am really trying to not burn my fingers on this hot glue. All right, so we have our circle piece right here. How we make our accordion. Be gentle with it. It will fall in the direction that it needs to fall. But I'm just gonna kind of pinch it until it flattens like that. Let's see, something is not looking right here. So you can kind of work with it until it's how you want it. And then what we're gonna do, this is the tricky part for me at least. Maybe you guys are better at this than me. See, it likes to pop. What? Okay, yes, I'm gonna borrow McKenna's hands to hold this for me. Maybe it's a two-person job, right? Alrighty. Okay, we're just gonna dollop some hot glue in there. And take one of our circles and push it down. Now we can just hold it there until it dries. Maybe we'll take this to stick on there while it dries for a minute. Okay, and McKenna's gonna hold it. If you could see McKenna right now, you would know that she's my identical sister. Do you guys think our hands are identical? Because we do look exactly the same. Alrighty, that one went much smoother. You see, it's a learning process. Everything's a learning process. So I've stuck the circle on our design. Okay, now I'm gonna switch twine over here. And this is where I like adding another circle on the back just to hold that design together. This one is actually holding up really well. I must have gotten better after doing this many times. But I also think it just looks a little more finished from the back. If you add a circle on the back too. Alrighty. So we have that fan. Ta-da! That wasn't even that hard. Thank you to McKenna's hands, so we didn't get any burns. So maybe make this craft with a friend. Crafting with a friend is always more fun, right? Than crafting alone. All right, so we have our 2 fans complete. That's how you assemble the fans. Takes a little bit of practice, or just maybe your first one won't go the best. Maybe your second one will go better. Maybe your 8th one will go better when you're close to the end, right? But you'll get the hang of it, I promise. All right, we're gonna move our hot glue gun over here while we assemble just for a minute. So now we get to do the fun part, putting it all together. Like I said, the assembling is the fun part for me. Watching the machine cut is cool, but I really like this where it starts to come to life. All right, so since I have a circle on the back of my design, pick which side looks prettier in your opinion. I'm gonna pick, I think I like that side better actually. So I'm gonna put some hot glue on there. Stick it on. You can decide if you want your fan more in the middle of your design, or when I made the example, I put the letters closer to the bottom so you could see more of that popsicle. So just choose what you would like to do. And this part you could just do with regular glue. You don't have to do it with hot glue. I already have the hot glue out, so that's why I'm using hot glue. Let's find our other pieces. So remember, I needed one more blue piece. So I already have that cut. And then we'll do our pink ones. I am very glad we made these in advance, because as you can see, we would not have had time to put this all together today. Three pink and 3 of our navy blue. All right, and then we have our embellishments like that shine that we have in the white and the actual popsicle stick, as well as our letters that we're going to put on too. For these ones, I actually am going to opt for the glue stick, just because they're just a quick glue, and I don't want the hot glue to ooze all over my design. When I saw this design, I thought it was so fun. I loved the popsicles for summer, because who doesn't love a popsicle in the summer, right? I've been spending lots of time in the sun here because in Utah, it is so hot right now. I think today the high is 100. If you live somewhere where the high is hotter than 100 today, make sure you tell us in the comments, because you're a trooper for being out in the sun. And you definitely need a popsicle today. Not one of these paper popsicles, but a regular popsicle to cool off. I think this is a great craft for when you've started cutting on your silhouette, you feel comfortable on it, and you just want to do a project that's a little bit next level. Not because this project's hard. You have seen today that it can be very easy, but just because it takes a little bit more effort than maybe just a more simple banner that you've seen on the Silhouette store. Just has more elements, and it's a good way to just kind of improve your skill. Still practice cutting with paper, but it looks a little bit more elevated. All right. Now we just have this embellishment to put on. And this can be kind of thrown on in any spot because no popsicle shines the same way, right? Especially where I put my fan more in the middle. It's gonna be mostly covered, but I think it's a cute addition. Just gives it a little bit more personality. You can see that once you have all of the pieces cut, it comes together relatively quickly. But the biggest time commitment is going to be folding those fans, which we're not talking about a super long time here. I think when I made the example for class, I think it took me an hour and a half to make from start to finish probably. I'm sure some of you could have it done faster than that. Some of you, it might take a little bit longer. But either way, it's definitely a project that you can finish in an afternoon. Last one. Alrighty, so now we have our popsicles all assembled except for our letters. I'm gonna lay it out in that order that I colored in on the screen. So I believe I started with pink and then navy and then blue, pink, navy, blue, pink, navy, blue. I got my letters here. Like I said, I think this would be really cute if you cut these letters in silver glitter cardstock. Just add a little bit more personality to it. And you can decide where you put your letter on. I like to do mine a little mismatchy and crooked, facing different directions. I figured out if I mismatch my letters in my classroom, I don't have to worry about hanging them as straight and having them all match. So it's kind of why I like to offset things a little bit. It also just adds a little bit more personality to your project, if that's what you like. And I'm gluing these on with hot glue just because it is kind of on a 3D surface. It's hanging off the edge a little bit. So I just wanted to make sure I had a nice strong seal on my project. Okay, so we have the word chill. I'm gonna leave this light blue one without a letter. And do my last three down here. Where we have out. Oh, you.
Could you cut the letters out with vinyl?
I would not recommend vinyl in this case. And I will show you why as soon as I get this T on my design. I would not recommend vinyl because a lot of the letter is actually on top or hanging off a little bit of the edge of the circle. So your vinyl is not going to have a surface to lay flat on. If you chose to not do the fans, then you could do vinyl on the popsicles. But if you're doing the accordion fans, I wouldn't recommend vinyl for this project. All right, very last part, we're gonna put it all together. For my example, I used twine to put it all together. You could also use baker's twine. This is what I brought. It's not the right color though, so everything has to match. So we are just gonna use twine. Kind of matches the color of popsicle sticks in real life. See if I can find the end of my twine. Go. Well, maybe, oh, it's in a loop. We will cut it. Here's the end. Alrighty, so I like to flip everything over. Oh, make sure your design is spelled right. I need to flip my T. So I like to flip everything over when I'm stringing it together. I'm going to start on this end. And on my example, I strung it so the string was at the back. Today, I'm going to show you an option where you can show off your string a little bit more if you want to. So the string is going to go across, well, I lied. I'm going to string it along the back because I want to show you my trick that I do to keep everything in place. So one strung. I'm going to go in and then over again. So I like to get everything strung into place before I tape everything down and figure out where I would like it to hang. You could use ribbon for this banner, but I will say the holes that it is set to cut are pretty small. They're a little bit bigger than the width of my twine right now. So if you were using ribbon, you might want to make the design a little bit bigger. So your holes would be a little bit bigger to string through. Let me give myself a little bit more. That is not enough. Goodness, my twine is really coming undone. It's like threading a needle. I'm gonna snip that so it makes it a little easier for myself. Alrighty, 2 more to go. thing I like about the twine is it looks a little messy, a little rusticy. And I like the look of that when I'm crafting. If you want something that looks a little bit more finished, you could use something that's not going to fray or unravel. I don't know if you can tell, but my twine is really unraveling right now, making it kind of tricky to lace, but I like the messy look it gives us. I told you guys that I wasn't going to string the thread along the front, but it seems that I ended up doing that with every single one but one, the very first one. So I guess we are stringing the thread along the front. My tip still works though, even if you just have a little bit of thread back here or string. So I'm going to space it out how I would like them. For this one that I made, I spaced them a little bit more. I'm going to put them pretty close together for this one. And I'm going to take Scotch tape. Any clear tape will work. And if you're taping along the back, like this one, you have a lot more room to tape. So I'm just going to tape that down. This makes it so there's no sliding. Everything stays in place how I would like it. Everything stays spaced out evenly when it's hanging. Gravity's not moving things around. And no one will see it because it's on the back. So I'm just covering the holes just barely with the tape. It just has something to grip to. All right, before I flip it over and give you the big reveal, I always like to finish my ends a little bit. That's the seamstress in me, right? You can never have an unfinished end. So I'm going to tie a bow on the end. This gives you a good point to hang it on too. You can put a little nail in the wall and just hang the bow on it. So I have my bow on that side.
Suggested that you could put a piece of tape on the end of your twine to thread it.
That is a good idea. Yes. I will for sure do that next time because it did give me a bit of a problem this time. Oh, the suggestion was putting a piece of tape on the end of the twine to thread through my design. All righty, are we ready for the big reveal? Let's do it together. 1, 2, 3. So cute. Turned out so cute. My spacing, it's backwards.
Yeah.
Well, it's backwards, but you get the idea. I can actually read it right now. I'm seeing myself on the screen and yeah, okay. It's backwards, but you know what? I will go ahead and fix it as soon as class is over. Luckily, this is a very easy mistake to fix. So now you have the general idea of the design and what it's supposed to look like. I hope you make it for yourself. I hope you don't string it on backwards like I did. Just make sure it's hanging up, or it's in the right order when you go to hang it up, right? So I will hurry and fix mine once we say goodbye, but thank you so much for joining me. Please join me next month. We're going to be doing a cute back to school craft because it's already going to be that time of year. I can't believe it. But join me next time, and thank you for coming today. Bye.